And I'm joined now by Virginia Republican Congressman Randy Forbes, who is on the House Judiciary Committee. That is the phrase that needs to be readdressed, I would assume, Congressman, because he has since been revealed that he signed off on those investigations.
Well, Martha, that's exactly true. And here's the big issue. We know that they have attested under oath with their affidavit that they had enough evidence to reach probable cause for Mr. Rosen to get the search warrant. But that is also, according to the director of the FBI, the same burden of proof necessary to have arrested Mr. Rosen and charged him with the crime. And yet they were moving forward with the search warrant. How did they then say that there wasn't even the potential of prosecution unless they had granted Mr. Rosen immunity, which we have no evidence they did that, or, Martha, unless they have this blanket exception now for anybody in the press that you can disclose anything at any time, you'll never be prosecuted. They're the questions we need to ask Mr. Holder, and hopefully he'll finally answer.
I mean, it appears that the ante was upped in order to get the judge to agree, because what we've learned is that there were 3 different judges that they went to for this warrant, and that the third one, according to the reporting on this, granted it. So perhaps the language had to be that intense in order to get the warrant, but he says we never really intended to prosecute, and he said he never heard about the whole thing in terms of that.
Well, Martha, there's 2 different things. There's one with what intent, but the other thing is that you never even had the possibility of prosecution. How can you say that before you've even gotten the evidence? And you're exactly right. It wasn't even that they had to up the ante. The other judges who looked at even this wording would never have granted this search warrant based on the information presented to them.
You know, the other thing that strikes me is that when you read the report, after they started to make an effort to sort of tell his side of the story in the press, that he had a creeping sense of remorse about the whole thing. That also doesn't line up with, you know, never having heard of or never having been involved in anything along these lines, does it?
Well, Martha, it looks like, you know, the Attorney General's hiring a publicist or something to do that. We sent him questions, gave him an opportunity to explain how he'd misrepresented things to the committee. He didn't even answer them himself. He just had a deputy send back an explanation of why he didn't perjure himself. That's why we think it's important he actually come there, answer those questions himself, and explain how he misrepresented this to the Congress of the United States.
Well, we should point out that you had first asked for June 5th, all of this to happen by. Now it's June 19th, which is this Wednesday. So he will submit, and we believe it will be from his own hand, his answers to these questions by Wednesday. But in terms of a personal appearance with all of you, that date is still up in the air. Let's take a look at some polls on Eric Holder in terms of the political side of where he stands right now. Should he resign as Attorney General? 52% in this recent poll say that he should resign. 34% say that he should stay. 14% are unsure. And let's go to the job performance numbers here as well, because these are interesting. Look at the change in these. From May of 2010, approval was 36%, not a great approval number even back then. That's now down at 28%. And look at the change in disapproval from that period. 27% disapproved back then, and now 40% disapprove of the job he's doing. But no indication that anything is changing in terms of his status in the administration at this point, right?
Well, that's correct, Martha. And one of the big things is not everybody's going to agree with actions the Attorney General takes. We understand that. But we do have the right to expect that the Attorney General is going to be truthful with the American people. And this Attorney General's got to the point where either you believe he's going to intentionally and deliberately mislead you, or he's going to parse his words so much that he's in a de facto way misrepresented you anyway. And I don't think the American people will appreciate that.
Just have a few seconds left, but let me ask you this before I go. If he had came before your committee and said, look, we were really concerned that there was a breach here, a security breach, and we wanted to see all of the communications on both sides between this reporter and this individual who was, you know, working as a diplomat to North Korea. So we did pursue it, and we needed to use strong language in order to pursue it. What do you think the reaction would have been?
I think you'd have had mixed reaction, but I think you would at least had the committee saying we have credibility in Mr. Holder. The big concern we have now is we need to be transparent with the American people. We can't afford to misrepresent things to them. That's what the Attorney General is making people the most upset about.
All right, Congressman Forbes, thank you. We'll be watching all of this.